Welcome again to day 3 of Breakfast from Roth. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Nitro and Flapjacked. We are at the 30th anniversary of Challenge Roth, and our guest, who won this race in 2012, had a breakthrough race in Kona, was 4th in Kona last year, Mr. James Cunnama. That's not bad. I've been working on that for about 9 months.
You got it perfect. Well done.
See, look at that. I couldn't figure it out. It's spelled Cunnama, but it's spelled Cunnama. South Africa. And James, talk a little bit about growing up in South Africa. It's obviously a country that's very sporty. People are in the ocean, and were you swimming? What was the background?
Yeah, there's a lot of heritage in South Africa with endurance sports. You know, Comrades Marathon, and,
yes,
and the Doozy Canoe Marathon. The Argus is the biggest cycle race in the world. South Africans love endurance sport, and we've got the weather and the climate to be outside all the time, and that's what I grew up. I was outside all the time. Certainly wasn't much of a swimmer. Never really got into the swimming. Didn't like the cold water, and that was pretty much it. My parents were runners,
right,
and they both did the Comrades Marathon. I grew up in the town where Comrades Marathon is hosted, Pietermaritzburg.
So they go one direction, they switch directions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
they would the start of the finish.
Yeah, exactly. And we would watch it. We would go 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter and watch the Comrades Marathon runners run past all 20,000 of them.
20,000, and we're not talking a marathon. You're talking a double marathon.
Yeah,
right? It's
more.
56 miles?
56 miles, yeah, more than a double marathon, yeah.
Yeah, and you're 20,000 people. That's crazy.
People are crazy. I was growing up in Pietermaritzburg. It was, oh, you're a runner? Did you do Comrades? There was no like, you're a runner, you do 10K race? No.
If you run the track.
You're not a runner until you did Comrades. And
right.
That was what I grew up with. So the longer was better, and I just ran, and I loved it. And the dream was always to win Comrades. That was what I grew up doing. And then only much later in life did I discover Ironman and start with the learn to swim and that kind of thing. So
now, did you run Comrades?
I haven't yet. No,
okay.
It's on the bucket list.
But that's something
going to happen.
When did you're a little older?
Yeah. The problem is it happens in June, which is not the right time for my triathlon season
really
to run 89 Ks. It's
not really. It doesn't quite fit in.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that sounds like a Brett Sutton workout.
Not far off, I guess.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, not yet. One day when I'm older, definitely it's on the bucket list.
When did you realize that you had the potential to be a professional triathlete?
I think I pretty much told myself I was going to be a professional triathlete long before I had proved that I had the potential to do it. I look back now. The first few years I did triathlon and did Ironman. Ironman came to Port Elizabeth, and I was volunteering on the sidelines, and I watched the race, and I was never done a triathlon, but I was like, man, I want to try this. I want to do this, and I started training for it, and pretty much almost immediately decided, you know what, I'm going to try and do this professionally. I'm going to try and race the professional category, and I did. In my first Ironman, I raced as a professional. I got 21st, I think, and was beaten by a few of the girls, but it was an amazing experience, and from there it just grew. I was just like, wow, well, I could do that much better. That was a terrible race, and I was 21st. I was 12th, I think, in the pro males at Ironman South Africa in my first year, and I thought, man, I could easily knock an hour off that time, and I could go 8:30, and then I'm in the mix. I got to do this. Yeah. And that was it. From then on, it was 100%. I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to be a pro. And it was just a case of waiting for the opportunities after that. It was training hard and trying to, I kind of shifted my work less and less and less. I was coaching and working for Triangle, the Ironman organizers at the time. And I just kind of shifted my work. It ended up being a little slot between midday and 4 p.m. that I worked, and the rest of the time was dedicated to training or recovering.
Were you training yourself?
Yeah, I was pretty much coaching myself. The race director of Ironman South Africa was a good friend, and he helped me a lot, with advice on what I should be doing, and we swam together. But I think about the first time I started swimming, I couldn't even do a tumble turn in the pool.
Oh, really?
I was terrible. I can't remember what my 100 time was, but it was probably well over 140 for 100. Now I'm doing 30 of them on 120s, it's just a different world. I can't believe it. But yeah, it happened really quickly. I did my first Ironman 2007 at Ironman South Africa. The end of 2008, I was, through series of coincidences, was put in contact with Brett Sutton. Started 2009, started with Brett Sutton, and mid-2009 got second at Ironman Austria. It was literally 2 years from my first Ironman to second at Ironman Austria behind Marino van Hoenike's record. Yeah. It was, it just happened that quickly. It was all a bit, head in the clouds kind of stuff.
What did Brett Sutton bring to the table for you? Obviously there's a focus there, but he sort of has a reputation working with women. that the women have had a lot of success, but not that many guys. I mean, I think Greg Bennett at one time and Greg Welch, a lot of people sort of flowed in and out, didn't stay for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely had more success with the women than he has
Right.
with the men over the years, and it's that what people look at that and go, well, wasn't that a factor in deciding to go with Brett? I was saying to Macca yesterday, we were talking, and I was saying, I was so naive. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about Brett. I just knew he was a good triathlon coach, and that was all I was interested in. I didn't know anything about, I read up on him and I knew all the details and that kind of thing.
Right.
But basically all I needed to know was he's a good triathlon coach and I need a triathlon coach. There's none in South Africa, so I'm going to go to this guy. That was about the sum total of my thought pattern. And he brought a lot to the table. He will always be a massive influence on my career. Like it changed everything. The opportunities that Team 2B provided, that first year, offering me a salary based on no results whatsoever.
Exactly.
I was the poster child for their development idea. They gave me as a potential pro the opportunity to be a real pro and train full time and be a proper pro. And without that, who knows where it would be. I perhaps would not have even pursued it much further.
Well, you think about it, you guys were training in Luzon, you were training in the Philippines, you were training in Thailand.
Exactly, yeah.
Traveling, just to afford those trips.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, that was basically what that first year's little salary was for. It was enough money that I could live for a year and train 100% full time as a pro, and not come out of it with any money. But I was like, I'll take that risk. I might come out of it broke at the end of the year, but I'm going to take that risk. As it turns out, I got second at Ironman Austria. I got third at Alpe d'Huez, and I got third at Embraman, and I went home with probably $20,000 at the end of the year, and I was like, wow, I can do this. I can make a living of this, and that. That was Alex Bach, Team 2V, and Brett Sutton. That was their doing, and Brett's guidance just, got me into the sport and got me thinking on the right lines, and it was professional from the beginning. There was no, spending 5 years making stupid mistakes and messing things up and going to races because the world says you should go to races. It was all straight away. Brett got me going to the right races that I need to do. I was doing races like Embraman to make me strong when I had no business being in the Swiss in the French mountains on a time trial bike, But there I was doing well, and it was working. It made me strong. It got me to the position where I could, in 2012, win this race and beyond. I owe him a lot, and it's shaped my career definitely.
Winning this race at that time, was that the biggest performance or best performance of your life?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It was on the back of injury, and I had a bad season leading up to that, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. But this race was, it's iconic. It's massive, and the thought of winning it was again me being, cocky and naive. I was just like, what, I'm going to win this race. I told Brett in the week before the race, I said I'm going to win, and I did. I mean, it shouldn't have happened, but it did. It was just the ideal day. I ran at 240 off the bike, and it all just came perfect. And not just my best career race at that point. It still is my best career race, perhaps. Right. I mean, the fourth at Kona kind of maybe on a par, but fourth is fourth, and a win is a win. And,
a win is a win. And it's not just any win. Kona is the most important race in the world.
Yeah.
This is the second most important race in the world, right?
Exactly. It's a big win.
So this stadium's right behind us, where you came around that, I'm assuming you came around the track.
Bigger and better than ever, too.
Bigger and better than ever. But coming around that track, knowing you're going to win, what at that point is going to be the biggest win of your life, how special was that?
Oh, it was amazing. I had my homestay at the start of the stadium. They gave me a South African flag, which was great. Running in South African flag, I think I look back at the photos now of me crossing the line, and it's just all that emotion and everything that came out that day. Amazing feeling. Hopefully we can replicate it as many times as possible in the future, perhaps this weekend. But it was just an amazing experience. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things that you will never be able to replicate. I can't win this race for the first time again.
Exactly.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and it was really incredible, really special. It's a memory that I will cling to for the rest of my career and the rest of my life.
So this year, I mean, you started out winning the 70.3 in South Africa. Things were going well. You go over to Abu Dhabi, and just everything goes nuts, right? You're stuck in the airport. You get sick. You lose, what do you think, almost 2 months at the end of the day and at some point you decided, you know what, I've just got to get into training mode and focus on Roth, right?
Yeah, that was basically the thought pattern. Was, I came out of that Abu Dhabi, and I had to validate. So I raced Ironman South Africa, and I wasn't feeling bad going into it, but I knew something was off.
Right.
And sure enough, halfway through the bike, it was just, whoa, shut it down. You just got to get across the finish line to validate your Kona qualification. And
a long training day.
Yeah, that was
catered
exactly
workout.
I mean, it was great because it's the first time I've raced an Ironman like that. Run the whole run slowly, and you're able to high five your friends on the side of the road. It was at South Africa. It's my old hometown, and a lot of friends and family on the course. So it was a great experience to experience the whole atmosphere that happens a little bit furher behind the pro race, which I don't experience normally.
Yours is all high intensity.
But at the same time, it wasn't what I wanted from the race.
No.
I want to win the race, and I validated, and that was some consolation, but it was not great. And then I thought, well, it was just I was sick, and it was just a bad patch. I'm over it now. And I went to St. George 70.3, and same thing, just nothing in the tank. I was missing something. I was missing fifth gear. I couldn't get into fifth gear. And after that, I sat down and I was like, right, that's it. No more racing. I'm focusing on Roth. I've got 10 weeks now in Boulder. It's good training.
You got to hang out in snow.
Yeah, well, yeah, it snowed, which was not great for training, but a great experience because I never experienced that before. We don't have a lot of snow in South Africa, and I follow an endless summer too. I don't see a lot of winter, so it was a cool experience. We went for a run in the snow. I ran a half marathon in the snow, which is first time in my life I've done that. But I was glad when it melted 2 days later and we could get on with the proper training. And that's what we did. It was 10 weeks of proper training.
10 weeks in Boulder.
Yeah.
So 10-week block in Boulder with altitude and the rest of it.
Exactly.
And are you sold?
I'm sold, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great place to train.
It really is good. I get on my bike and I just go. I'm off in the mountains on my own for hours. I could ride all day there. I actually did a ride on my own. We went up to Vale for a night for Jodie's birthday. And I was like, you know what? You drive home. I'm going to get on my bike. And I rode all the way back to Boulder from Vale. On my own. I was just like, the mountains are great, the weather's great, I'm just going to ride on my own. I'll see you later. I got home at 6 or 7 p.m. that night and had done 230k ride. It was great. I loved it. I could do that every day in Boulder. It's just incredible. The riding is great. The running is great, and we've got there's so many pools to choose from. It's a training mecca for a reason, and it's the first time I've been there, and I've adapted really well to it. I really enjoyed it.
How is it as a couple? You've got Tim O'Donnell and the Carfrey, and obviously because of the lifestyle you guys lead, it's not like you're going to the bars to go meet somebody. You're usually going to meet somebody who has a similar lifestyle when you're immersed in this stuff 30 hours a week. You and Jody Swallow have been together for a while. How do you balance when you're both racing the same race? Something like Kona, right? Which is so important to everybody.
Yeah, it's great having someone who does the same lifestyle as you, and I don't think it would work with someone who isn't.
Yes.
The way we move and the way we travel and the way we train, you need someone who understands that.
Right.
You can't. You got to understand the ups and the downs and the bad days and the being grumpy and that tired and that kind of thing all the time, and not wanting to go out for dinner because going out for dinner is such a chore. You need someone who understands that. But we had our ups and downs. Racing the same races together was difficult at first. I'm trying to help Jodie, she's trying to help me. She's worried about me being stressed about something. I'm worried about her being stressed about something. We're both working each other up into a ball of stress. And we actually had a couple of bad races where we just really struggled, both of us, because of that. And it was just really a case of communicating and sitting down and going, right, it's race week. You've got to understand that I'm in my block, in my hole. I'm not talking to you. It's not about you. It's about me. And you look after yourself. I look after myself. We've brought on a manager that we both have the same manager, and that helps a lot too because we can push a lot of the commitments and the difficult, the sorting out tires and the sorting out to him instead of Jody relying on me and that kind of thing. So that helps a lot, and just really building a professional team around us to help the support network, which makes a big difference. It takes a lot of the stress off, which we haven't really had in the past. And these days, it's just great to be able to share races and Ironman 70.3 South Africa, we both raced, we both won.
Yes,
and
that's pretty cool.
Winning the same day, sharing the whole experience on home soil was brilliant, and hopefully we can do that many more times in the future.
You mentioned team, and Chris McCormack now is part of your team.
Yeah.
More of and it's funny because Tim O'Donnell has brought Mark Allen on, almost like an Ironman consultant, because the mental side of winning in Kona, or even any race like this, and when you've got a field like you have here, or the field you have in Kona, it's not necessarily the physical part that's going to separate one from another. It's who makes the right move at the right time and keeping calm.
And who better at that than Chris McCormack?
Exactly.
I was, after, end of last year, I left Brett Sutton and Team 2B. I had a really good 5 years with them and learnt a lot, but it was time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a good 6 months coaching myself, separate from everything, doing my own thing, planning my own plan, that kind of thing. And I needed that. I needed to find myself after 5 years under Brett, and I needed to figure out what was important to me and what works for me and what works on my confidence and that kind of thing. But once I'd done that, I then started looking around for a sounding board, someone with the knowledge, the skills, because you can't win Kona on your own.
No.
It's as simple as that. You can't win it by reading the triathlon books and doing your own thing. You need someone who knows Kona, who knows the race, who knows the ins and outs, who knows what it's going to take, and not so much a coach. I'm pretty confident in
mentor.
What I worked with Brett. The program worked. I've got the results and it worked. So I don't want to change too much, but I need someone to bounce ideas off. Should I do this race? Should I skip this race? Should I train a little bit harder? Should I back off a little bit now and work later? Should I go into Kona a month before? Should I go into Kona a week before? Those kind of questions, those kind of decisions that you need someone who's objective. Whereas myself, I'm going to get caught up in the tension of it all. I'm going to get caught up in the ideas that perhaps might not be right, but are your mind gets caught up in them, and you believe that, and you just follow it, and you need someone to say, whoa, listen, you see what you did there? You weren't even paying attention. You completely missed the whole point of that. And that's, I'm talking to Macca now, and he's helping a lot with that.
Good.
He's in my team, he's in my corner, building a team that I can rely on and take some of the pressure off, so I can swim and bike and run as best as possible.
So 2 years ago, you win this race. Last year, you were second, and I know you were pretty disappointed about that. You always want to win, right? But on that day, Dirk Bockel had a phenomenal day.
Yep.
He was the better guy on the day. So was it tough for you to come away from this race not winning it after winning it the year before?
Yes and no. When you win, you're defending champion, and there's a lot of pressure on you,
right.
and that's not necessarily conducive to a great race. It's a little easier to come in as an underdog, but when you've won it, you also expect yourself to be able to win it again.
Right.
But that's not always the case in the sport. There are times when there are guys who just have days that are out of this world, and they were unbeatable. And last year, I didn't have a great day. I didn't have a great run. I didn't run to my level or my expectation. But having said that, even if I had run a 2:40, Dirk would still have been a minute in front of me by the finish.
Exactly.
So he just had one of those days. I had one of those days the year before.
Are you ready for another one of those days this year?
Let's hope we have another one of those days.
It sounds like a 10-week block leading in. It sounds like this is an A race for you.
I'm feeling really good. I focused really hard on this race, and with qualification for Kona sorted out so early, I could really focus on this race with the build through to Kona after this race. It's 2 major races, and that's it. I don't have to do, it's quite a change from the past where I've raced with Brett and done up to 12 races a year.
Yeah.
It's a real change, but I think it's a change that I'm now ready for. Racing a lot was really good for me at that time because it built the strength and it built the experience that I needed very quickly, because I needed it quickly because I came in as a novice, and I had a lot to learn very quickly. But now that I've done that and I've learned those lessons, and now it's time to focus on these specific races, get the big results at the big races, and the smaller races, leave those to the other pros that are coming up and need the experience.
Love it.
So that's the plan. Whether it works, we'll see. It's a little bit new, but at the same time, 5th time in a row at this race.
Exactly.
There's not a lot that's new here. I know the race really well. I know the course really well, and I'm really well prepared. So hopefully.
Love it.
Very strong field, though.
Very strong field.
But that's nice.
That's good.
You know, there's, like I was saying in the press conference, there's that many guys that someone's going to have a great day. My plan is to have a better day than them.
I love that. James Cunnama has been our guest. Again, we are brought to you by Nitro and by Flapjack. My name is Bob Babbitt. You're watching us on Breakfast from Roth. Rainer, take us out.